Ho, ho, ho. Welcome, boys and girls, and toys and thems, to an exciting Christmas special of the Infohazard podcast. I'm your host, Jolly Old Saint Thick, with 2 C's, and with me, as always, is my elf, Dan. What's going on, Dan?
Not much.
We've banished David from this Christmas land because he's a heretic who doesn't believe in Christmas. Ho, ho, ho.
I think technically he's an infidel, right? Not a heretic.
Well, now I feel like a heretic. Good call. I can't keep that voice up the whole time.
It would be hard.
Thanks for joining us on this Christmas special. And just because you've been such good little boys and girls, I have a special gift for you. Are you ready?
I'm so ready.
It's more Epstein files.
Whoa.
There you go. One for you. One for you. There. Nice and shiny black pages. Enjoy. You know, it's actually better that the Epstein files that got released on Friday were black out for hundreds of pages, because then your imagination can run wild. Who knows what were on those pages?
Anything you want, dude. All your political enemies.
Yeah, it could have just been, it was probably just a script to Avatar 4. They didn't want any spoilers.
Yeah, they're on a heavy NDA from James Cameron, dude. Can't just be putting out the plot of an Avatar movie. That's the most important part. You know, if you spoil the plot, no one would go see it.
Yeah. If you didn't, if we all knew ahead of time what Avatar 4, The Rise of the Nega Navi was going to be, then, you know, we wouldn't even have a country anymore. We'd fall apart.
That's all that's keeping us together at this point, dude. Political divisions drive us apart. Avatar brings us back together.
It's just good shit. Well,
unlike the news this week, which was not good shit. Pretty uniformly bad shit, I think.
Yeah. Yeah, well, I don't know what you're talking about, because we're finally gonna win the war on terror now that we've identified what the true WMDs were all along.
That's right. It's fentanyl, according to Donald Trump, dude. Because words don't have to mean things.
Yeah, well, I'm not an explosives expert. I mean, but can you, if you loaded up an ICBM full of fentanyl, like, would that have the same effect as a nuclear bomb?
No.
Okay. Or maybe just like a chemical weapon or something like that. No, not the same. Oh.
Not unless people
it seems like there might be
Nerf
material
gas.
differences between fentanyl and what we would consider to be a weapon of mass destruction. So why did Trump classify fentanyl as a weapon of mass destruction?
Well, let's take the words right out of his mouth. He says, quote, "We're formally classifying fentanyl as a weapon of mass destruction," which is what it is. "They're trying to drug out our country. Illicit fentanyl is closer to a chemical weapon than a narcotic," is what he says.
What is a narcotic? It's like a drug. A drug or other substance that affects mood or behavior and is consumed for non-medical purposes, or a drug that relieves pain and induces drowsiness, stupor, or insensibility. Sold illegally, is used for non-medical purposes. It relieves pain and it causes you to do that, like, that weird lean thing that people do, you know. Yeah, no, that's a narcotic. But we're not here to debate whether or not it's a narcotic. We're here to talk about weapons of mass destruction.
All right, so what do you think? Is Donald Trump a man of vision? Is he finally going to win the war on drugs, where all previous U.S. governments have failed? Just have to reclassify it, call it something different? Now people will stop doing drugs? Ronald Reagan should have said drugs are the WMD, and then people would have stopped?
Well, I guess there's maybe an unwritten, you know, that Donald Trump is a man who has been accused of, like, attacking these unwritten rules and breaking the norms of our country, but he does appear to be adhering to a sort of unspoken norm that is, if you want to invade some place purely for oil money, you have to blame it on WMDs.
It's quickly becoming a rich U.S. tradition, dude.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like no sooner did he declare fentanyl a WMD than he started literally just stealing oil from Venezuela. Just, there's a blockade around Venezuela. and the American Navy has turned to piracy and is hijacking oil tankers. So what are we going to do with those shipments of oil?
Refine it,
Probably
sell it.
refine it
Probably.
and sell it. Yeah. This is a good news for Chevron or, potentially
Wait, is
Trump
it?
Co. branded oil. Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty bullshit that we're just kind of slowly sleepwalking towards war with Venezuela, it kind of feels like, when nobody wants to do it, really.
Sleepwalking is a funny word for that. I think no one wants it except for the government, like the executive branch of the United States, and they're doing everything in their power to provoke an attack from Venezuela by killing their civilians and stealing their resources. Yeah, declaring them a terrorist state. Like they're blockading their country. They like all of these are acts of war. And were they a near peer power, we would already be at war. Like they could retaliate. But since they are so, dwarfed by us in terms of military might, they are wisely not just blowing up battleships in the Caribbean right now. Perhaps some other state power will intervene on their behalf. Sincerely doubt it. I think we have sort of unlocked the cheat code of American hegemony, where we're just openly being the imperialist nation that we've always had the potential to be. Yeah,
Well,
it seems bad.
Invading nations to our south and fucking with their governments is kind of an American tradition.
That's true. But we don't, it's a new excuse, maybe, or it's new that we barely have an excuse. We don't, it is such a thin excuse. Like, yeah, I don't know. It feels different in proportion, if not kind. Do you think maybe America is cyclical and we're nearing the end? Because the first naval action that this country took part in was fighting pirates off of the Barbary coast, right? So now that we are pirates, do you think we're just wrapping up? We've gone full circle and now it's time to call it a day? No more America?
We're not making, we're not the same as the Barbary pirates because other countries don't pay us to not pirate them,
Well, I mean,
not
if you
yet,
can't
I guess I should
retaliate
say.
against us militarily, like this, that could be, doesn't that seem like such a Trump thing? He's done every other way of asking for a bribe. Doesn't that seem like next on the agenda?
Dude, can you imagine? He just they get a $1 billion donation to the Trump Foundation or whatever, and he just calls it off.
Or just buys the cryptocurrency or whatever the fuck, or covers the cost of the ballroom or something like that.
Maybe we'll get Donald Trump standing in front of a mission accomplished banner on an aircraft carrier, dude.
Anyways, so what else was going on this week?
Well, speaking of Trump's reputation getting torched, you may have seen we referenced it, that
the
started
files.
To release the Epstein files. Sort of, quote unquote, released.
Yeah. That dastardly Bill Clinton is finally getting what he deserves, right?
At last. Just in the most timeliest of fashions, dude. After all, he's still a force in American politics. He's just
not
as
just
important
a convenient scapegoat.
Of course not, dude.
Yeah, but in all seriousness, it is, basically what you could have imagined would be the first release of these documents. Heavily redacted pages and photos that, well, initially it was thought that there were no new photos of Trump. But after, the internet sleuths got on it, they found a few pictures of Trump within the document leak that were then almost immediately removed from the released files.
Thereby putting the horses firmly back in the barn and shutting the door at the appropriate time.
Now, something interesting about that is the reason these files were released is because of the Epstein Transparency Act, which reads, under prohibited grounds for withholding information, no record shall be withheld, delayed, or redacted on the basis of embarrassment, reputational harm, or political sensitivity, including to any government official, public figure, or foreign dignitary. So they released these pictures, found out that Trump was in one of them. It was a picture of him with some young women, and they removed that, presumably to shield his reputation or some political sensitivity. That would put them in violation of this law, very clearly, right?
We all know what happens when people break the law. They're immediately and firmly punished if they're rich and influential.
Well, it turns out probably no. So regarding the enforcement of this particular law, the way it might work out is to prosecute violators of this law. It might have to be through the Department of Justice, right? Which would make it so the people who are directly being accused of breaking the law here are the ones with the are the ones with the legal authority to prosecute.
Seems like a bit of an oversight in the law.
And speaking of oversights in this law, there is no enforcement mechanism written into the law at all. It's a pretty short law. You can read it, and you can read our sources or just Google it yourself, DuckDuckGo it, search engine of choice. It is illegal, but it is not clear under the law what the punishment for breaking this law would be. It is interesting that they went and did any sort of compliance with it at all by releasing all these redacted pages and more pictures of Bill Clinton and slipping in pictures of Bill Clinton and Michael Jackson, with Michael Jackson's children's faces redacted to make them look like victims from a separate event not related to the Epstein files, to try to make people look bad, basically. But yeah, they like, if there is no punishment for the law being broken, and they would be prosecuting themselves if they were to choose to prosecute violators. Like, why did they comply with this law at all?
Yeah, seriously, it's kind of a joke, right? Just releasing all these black pages just makes me think of that prank that people would do where they would mail fax black pages to companies or to waste their ink.
Sure, yeah. Yeah, like Anonymous made the Scientology fax machines print out black pages to try to burn down the building. I don't know. That was a weird
It's just to waste
thing
their
that
money.
people used to do. Just to waste their money. So yeah, I mean, you finally got the votes and you wrote the law, and then what a wasted opportunity, right? This is just really embarrassing stuff.
I think for a chamber of 450 lawyers or whatever, somebody would have spotted this.
Yeah, which raises the question: how could they have written this in a way that would have set up a viable prosecution here? Or did they even want it? Was this just political theater from the beginning?
I mean, the people who started the law are big Trump opponents, so I think initially, at least, the intentions are good. They just might
You would have to think they were big Trump opponents. They have every incentive in the world to see him receive reputational harm. The political fortunes of the Democrats are directly tied to the bad things happening to the Republicans. So I don't know how they could have fumbled this hard.
It's baffling, dude. How do Democrats fail so hard at everything, really?
Yeah, well, when you put it that way, I guess I shouldn't be surprised. But still, it's brutal.
I think they just got stuck on the government's going to work good. So if we just leave it in the hands of the government, it'll go good. But it's not quite how things work anymore. They were probably just assuming that the Department of Justice, if they need to prosecute a member, would appoint some independent counsel or whoever and ensure that things are fairly prosecuted, forgetting that it's Pam Bondi in charge of the Department of Justice now, and things will not go like that. Pam Bondi will never carefully investigate Pam Bondi for wrongdoing.
Speaking of Pam Bondi, you know who didn't have a great relationship with Pam Bondi?
Who's that?
Is soon-to-be former deputy director of the FBI, Dan Bongino. Apparently, sort of adversarial or confrontational relationship with his boss, Pam Bondi, was one of the reasons. It's his boss's boss. That's right. I guess that would be Kash Patel's boss, right? It's one of the reasons he is quitting. The official reason, he didn't really give much of a reason for his quitting. Trump offered an explanation. He said Bongino did a great job and now wants to return to his media career. So
it's back to being a podcaster.
Yeah, the lowest of the low, the scummiest of the scum, back down here with the sweat pigs. Yeah, but no, welcome back, Dan. It's good to have you in the family.
See you around the YouTube office.
Yeah, we're excited for the collab. Reach out to us, and we'll do a little debrief of your time at the FBI. I was kind of curious, what he even did at the FBI. I mean, he had some funny interviews where he was directly contradicting things he said he would do when he had a podcast. But beyond that, apparently his biggest achievement as deputy director was restarting the investigation on the January 6th bomber.
I mean, they did catch him, So,
Well, I mean, they have someone that they're confident that they can prosecute. Is it like guilty until well, little Freudian slip there. Innocent until proven guilty, but yeah, they have someone they're pretty reasonably confident about, named Brian Cole Jr. His neighbors describe him as naive, a quiet guy who walked a chihuahua around the Washington, D.C. suburb. Like many, many neighbors commented on him being the chihuahua guy. I don't know what was striking about this dog, but that's what people knew about him. Also, during the investigation, Brian Cole Jr. told investigators he thought the 2020 election was rigged. So if you kind of want like sort of a reasonable guesstimate of why he was planting bombs around January 6th, that's kind of the team he was on at the time.
Well, the interesting part was he was bombing everybody, like Republicans and Democrats.
He did one bomb outside the RNC headquarters and one outside the DNC headquarters. Yeah, he's kind of like he's got a twisted South Park sense of humor, he's an equal opportunity offender. Yeah, just like me. JK.
Except hopefully you're not bombing anybody. Just truth bombs.
Yeah, the only thing else I have for today is like a little like end cap to a long running story. For a while, TikTok has been at odds with the U.S. government over the possibility, like Chinese involvement with their backend code being able to compromise American data or any number of other things. It doesn't really matter. Just this last week, they signed a deal to sell American operations to a joint American and United Arab Emirates venture.
Thank God nobody shady like China is involved with this, right? I'm sure a bunch of desert monarchists have a lot in common with us and only have our best interests at heart.
Yeah, when I think transparency and integrity, I think Dubai. That's exactly where I want to.
No Hamas members living there.
Yeah. Well, anyways, I mean, it's sort of anticlimactic, I guess, that this was resolved by just having their business operations purchased out.
This was like the whole solution that they initially wanted, like the U.S. government wanted initially, right? At the beginning of all this, they just like fought over it for like this whole time, and then finally
years
going with it.
It's been years. Didn't this fight start in like Trump won presidency?
Yeah, dude. Yeah, and then he kept doing the whole like, I'm banning you. Here it comes. Oh, extension.
Yeah. Yeah, like TikTok was briefly banned in the U.S.
Yeah, for like a day or whatever.
Yeah, but yeah, now it's been bought out by this joint firm. The largest shareholder, I think, is Oracle. So under Larry Ellison, who's like a huge Trump donor. Now that we've got
number 2 richest guy, dude. He's got to pass Musk. This is how he's gonna do it, dude. TikTok.
Yeah, potentially. TikTok. Yeah, the time's running out. He's an elderly man. Yeah, so it's just like a little extra sprinkle of corruption on top of this, a little zest of it on top of this turd sandwich of a deal. Yeah.
So there was one story I wanted to mention, which was so Jack Smith, who was the special counsel appointed by the Biden Department of Justice in 2022 to investigate Trump's alleged effort to overturn the 2020 election loss, as well as the classified documents that were stored at Mar-a-Lago. They filed charges in both investigations, but did not prosecute Trump because by the time that they got around to prosecuting him, he was already president again. And you can't prosecute the president because he's your boss if you're the Department of Justice, is what they've decided, under no influence from their boss.
Okay. So...
and so Jack Smith said he had proof beyond a reasonable doubt that Donald Trump criminally conspired to overturn the 2020 presidential election, and that his probe developed powerful evidence that showed President Trump willfully retained highly classified documents after he left office in January 2021, storing them at a social club, including at a bathroom and a ballroom where events and gatherings took place.
If you want to someday prosecute this, assuming that we have other presidents in the future, is there a statute of limitations on trying to overthrow an American election? Like, is there any point to withholding this information if you have it?
I mean, I guess we can just chalk this up as another Merrick Garland failure, I
guess so, but like were they just dragging their feet, or like they didn't get this through fast enough?
I mean, I think it was just basically like Merrick Garland didn't want any of this to happen, and he was in charge of the Department of Justice, and so none of it happened. He only did what he had to do. So like Biden made him appoint a special counsel, but then never really got moving on the prosecution. And then Trump had won another election by the time they were ready to actually prosecute him. Seems like maybe they needed to really speed this up. This is like if somebody was out there murdering people and you're like, we're closing in, we've got proof he's murdered people, but we just need a little more time.
It seems like it would be a lot of drama if we prosecuted this person, so let's just not. I don't know where that is, and if you're a lawyer who knows a lot about total drama and its relative effect on jurisprudence, let us know in the comments. I'm curious. I think that if we have strong evidence that the president tried to overthrow the government, that would be something that the people would have a reasonable interest in knowing.
Plus,
But
like
hey,
if
I'm
you're
not Merrick Garland.
yeah, if you're a government who can't even defend yourself from being overthrown, like that's pretty weak ass government, dude.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah. So a week of bad news.
yeah. Happy Christmas, everybody.
Yeah. On that
I hope
note,
you,
we'll end. No more bad news for now. Come back next week for more.
Yeah. Go eat a Christmas goose. And happy Hanukkah. And goodbye.
Bye.